Every so often, I come across books that are marketed as premium editions or collector's editions and are either cheaply made or way too overpriced, or sometimes both. And these books right here are a perfect example of both. These are called Royal Collector's Editions. You may have seen these before. In fact, I've even seen them pop up in Walmart sometimes. They're definitely in Barnes & Nobles and probably all kinds of other bookstores as well. They're marketed as Royal Collector's Editions, as you can see, and they're made to kind of look like a fake, fancy binding. These books cost an astounding price of, well, it doesn't say in these books, but I know that the going for these is about $40 per book, which is a crazy high price if you have seen what you can obtain on eBay for half of that. So these books better hold up to that $40 per book price. And of course, you're already knowing that they are not going to hold up to that price. So what's so wrong with these books? Well, there's quite a few things that make them not worth the money, and I'm going to go through and show you why these should never be purchased. They're not worth for $20, they're not worth $10, they're not even worth $5. In fact, these are basically paperback books with a hard cover on them, and I'm going to show you exactly why. So let's do a normal run through of one of these books. I'll go through Great Expectations. So first of all, we've got this book inside of a dust cover. So let's take off this dust cover and look at the actual book. Oops. As you can see, the book itself is exactly the same as the dust cover. The front cover, the spine, and the back cover is exactly the same. And you already noticed probably that they put the barcode on the back of the dust cover, but also the back of the actual cover, which is quite an unwieldy sight. It looks pretty ugly, and you would think for a premium edition that they would at least refrain from putting the barcode on the back of the hard cover. The dust cover itself is just your standard dust cover. They do have a little advertisement here to try to get you to buy more of their super overpriced books. Other than that, nothing special, so I'll toss it aside. The book itself, you can see, has this buttery smooth laminated hardcover, so the hardcover itself isn't too bad, although it does have this very gaudy design that makes it look premium when it really isn't. Well, it doesn't look premium either, in my opinion, but to some people it may look like a premium book if you don't know what they usually look like. The spine is not too well designed. The title, well, the author actually, and the title are in very small print. Even other books that are not too well made, such as this one right here, you can see that the title and author are much more readable, even though this book actually has a slimmer spine, and this book is just as cheaply made. Actually, this book is better made and cheaper than this book right here. The spine is also not curved, but it's also not flat. It's actually, I don't know if you can tell, it's U-shaped. It's kind of dented in the middle. It looks quite bad. And we do have the publisher's logo down here, extremely tiny on the bottom. Royal Classics with a little crown. I get why they put the logo very small at the bottom. I would not want to be associated with this book either if I was a publisher. And of course, that very ugly looking barcode on the back. The end papers, well, there are no end papers. It's just a white piece of cardstock. I guess that's the bare minimum it takes to have an end paper. As you can see, we can see the folded pieces of the front cover through the end paper, which shows you how thin it is. There's the B title page. There's the full title page. Doesn't look much different. Table of contents, which I must say is not too pretty looking. It looks very utilitarian. And the book itself, The text is not formatted beautifully either, which is not something you would expect from a premium edition. This paper is very thin. It's basically paperback paper, and there's nothing special about the text, nothing wrong with it really, but you're going to get the same quality out of a paperback. And I must say, this font that they use in the chapter headings is not very fitting for the book. It looks like a very computer stylized text. And there's nothing else interesting to look at in the book. No illustrations, just a big block of text with nothing else inside. Very uninteresting, very not premium. And those are already a lot of flaws that make this collector's edition not worth it, but there's one more that is so massive that it makes this a near scam. And if we look at the top edge of the book near the spine, you might be able to see what that is. If you can't see, the book is not sewn. It is just a normal perfect binding, which is what it's called, not the perfect binding. It's simply called a perfect binding because the pages are just glued in there. You can see that from the bottom as well. Actually, the spine is quite misaligned. I don't know if that's my fault or the book's fault. Probably the book's. But this glued binding is the exact same binding you get in normal paperbacks as well. So this book is basically a glorified paperback with a hardcover on it. Even cheap hardcovers that are $10, $20 have a sewn binding, usually at the very least, and they aren't marketed as premium products either. They aren't marketed as deluxe collector's editions, and they aren't priced up to $40 per book. I feel like I have to repeat that. It's $40 for this book new, even though other hardcovers can be as cheap as $20, $15, $10 new when you're buying classics, because they don't have any author royalties, of course, because the authors are all dead. So this book is basically I don't want to say it, but it is the closest thing you can get to a scam without being a scam. It is a major ripoff. And if we look at Moby Dick very quickly, you can see it is the same thing, but a bigger text block. It's basically the exact same book. There is no specialization per book. The only thing they do is go in and change the title, the author name, and the content of the pages. There is no illustrations in the book. There's no specialization, nothing that makes them unique at all. They're basically trade paperbacks being sold for $40. Now, I don't have any other editions of Great Expectations, but I do have other editions of Moby Dick. In fact, I have two. And these editions, as I'm going to show you, are much, much better than this edition right here, and you can get them for half the cost. This first one is from the Easton Press, and you can buy these used on eBay for about $20 in amazing condition. This is $40 and this is $20. Keep that in mind. This is bound in leather. It is gilded on the front with a unique design. As you can see, we have the ocean and we have a whale here. It's quite a cool design in my opinion. The stylization of the text is quite good as well. If we look at the spine, you can see we have the anchor and harpoon. We have the waves. And we have the text in big bold letters. It looks quite nice. And the back is more of those waves. And this is a hefty book. It is bound in genuine leather, although not the top-notch quality of leather. It is just a book, not something like a coat or a boot, so it's not going to be used and worn every single day, so the leather will hold up just fine. The end papers are unique. Ignore this dark spot. This is because I bought the book used and a label was in here that had to be torn off. So this is residue glue, which will not appear in most other copies. We do have a silk bookmark, which feels nice. These end papers are silk moire. And this text is amazing looking. As you can see, it's formatted very well, has these rich, bold headers on the chapters. And this book doesn't have too many illustrations throughout, but it does have some. And the best part of all is that this book, other than the gilded page edges, of course, which protect the pages, it actually has a sewn binding. Now the headband does not make it a sewn binding. That's what this is called right here, the yellow and black headband. Headbands can still be glued onto paperbacks, but it is a sewn binding, which all Easton Press books are. So this will hold up much better than this overpriced, piece of junk right here. Sorry about the shaking. And you can buy this for, remember, $20. You can buy 2 of these if you want for the price of this. And if that book isn't your fancy, here's another copy of Moby Dick. This is also bound in leather, and I must say this is a nicer leather than the other. You can find these for $20, $25, maybe $30 in amazing condition. It has a specialized cover. You have a little ship in the middle. The spine is quite cool. It's also gilded in, I believe, 22 or 23 karat gold, so it looks quite nice. It has that same sewn binding, so it's going to last quite a while. The gilded page edges, those nice end papers with that silk bookmark, and the pages are quite nice. And I did forget to mention about this and the other edition, the paper is much thicker. It's going to last quite a while. And there is some nice stylization inside the book itself. You see we have this huge fancy drop cap right here, and on this chapter as well. In fact, I do believe that all or most of the chapters have the drop caps. And I'm not sure about illustrations in this book. It seems like there aren't any, but this is still a much nicer edition of Moby Dick. And remember, you can buy both of these if you want, bound in leather, for the price of this hardcover. Not a hardcover, actually a paperback with a hard cover on it and a dust jacket. $40 for this book new, $20 for these books new. This is a borderline scam, but truthfully, it's just a massive, major ripoff that tries to market itself as a collector's edition. I believe that most people who buy this are unfortunately people who do not know too much about books, so they would mistakenly believe that it is a nice quality book just because it looks fancy. And I do feel bad for those people, because these books are showing up in places like Barnes & Nobles and Walmart, where people are more likely to not know much about books, and they will buy these books and waste their money. This glue is most likely going to wear down over time. It's going to crack, and this book is going to fall apart just like any other paperback would. So this is a low quality book, and the only reason I have this book actually is because it was gifted to me for Christmas by someone who did not know much about books. If I would have been able to tell them that you could go on eBay and buy books like this for $20, I think that they would have done that much more willingly than buy this book. Of course, I still do appreciate the gift, and I do like Moby Dick and Great Expectations. So I guess if you just want to read it, then go ahead and get this book. But you could get a readable paperback for $4 on eBay, $3 probably, $2 maybe, who knows. Anything but $40, which is what this book costs. So please save your money and don't go out and buy these Royal Collector's Editions. They are not worth your time or money, especially your money. And you can see the case laminate hardcover is already getting tarnished from fingerprints and whatnot. So, thanks for watching. Please don't buy these books. They are a waste of money, and goodbye.